Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on our Warrior Chat. We have a very, very important topic, and we're so happy you're with us as we share some information related to our district's 2014-2015 annual report. So it's very, very important information as we talk about some of the highlights of our 2014-15 school year, both from an academic standpoint, from a student achievement standpoint, but also from a fiscal standpoint as well. So thanks so much for being with us. I do appreciate it. We have two very distinguished guests. I'm sure you know them well, but I would like to introduce them to you as well also. First is our superintendent of schools, Dr. Sandy Lamond. Dr. Lamond has been with us many, many years and is now our superintendent on her second full year. And she's done such a fabulous job. I know many of you have known Dr. Lamond, so that's no surprise. But just an outstanding leader, and we're very, very fortunate to have Dr. Lamond as our superintendent. So I wanted to share that with you as we start talking about the student achievement and the success of our school district, because Dr. Lamond, and also as I introduced Dr. Bryson, really, as well as many other leaders, but their leadership has led to a continued and sustained success here at the school district. Dr. Bob Bryson is our assistant superintendent, and again has been here many years. In fact, recently our son said, gosh, he was my math teacher in the middle school. From a teacher to athletic director to building principal to assistant superintendent are some of the roles that Dr. Bryson has had here in the Southern York County School District. So our community is very, very fortunate to have these people leading us on a day-to-day basis because they care about children and they care about our community as a whole. So again, we're very fortunate. So let's talk a little bit about the annual report and what it means. But first, as we talk about student achievement, Dr. Bob, I'll let you share some of these details, but the first slide that you'll see here will show you how Southern York County School District compared to others in standardized testing. So Dr. Bob, would you share some of that information, please?
Sure. I think we're all very proud of overall our students' achievement, and certainly one of the methods that media and public rate us or judge us is based upon standardized testing. And that testing is PSSAs or Keystones, depending on the age group that we're referencing in regards to our students. But overall, as you can see from the slide, we're second and third respectively in math and English, and have been for some time now. And I think, obviously very proud of that, but proud overall of our students' performance in not only math and English, but also whether it be extracurriculars or all of our other subject areas that we offer our students throughout the district.
Yeah. This next slide, and I actually saved this for Dr. Lamond. I know it's important to both of you, but I know under your leadership, Dr. Lamond, this first point is so important to you, and what I believe exemplifies your leadership. Can you tell us a little bit about the importance of those relationships?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. McCullough. It is great to be here, and we certainly feel that in order to achieve any high results, high achievement, to be the school district that we pride ourselves in so very, very much, is through developing positive relationships with everyone, and that's with our students on a day-to-day basis. That's why we're here. We have absolutely wonderful students, but positive relationships among each other as colleagues, with our teachers, certainly with our parents, and all of our community members as well too. When a trusting, positive relationship is built among people, great things happen, and they're happening here for our students.
Yeah, and I think almost everyone would agree, children coming here, wanting to come here, wanting to be here, certainly leads to success. So I don't think that necessarily would surprise anyone, but I think it is unique, and I think not by accident that is number one on our list.
Absolutely. It's the core, it's the foundation that then can allow anything else to happen.
Then let's talk a little bit about curriculum, not only the development of it, but the coordination of it. I'll let Dr. Lamond start, and then Dr. Bryson share some information as well, please.
Sure, absolutely. When we take a look at that high student achievement, there's many, it's a multitude of different components that need to be put in place. And certainly curriculum and instruction is right there in terms of affecting the teaching and learning that's happening in the classroom every single day. So we're very fortunate to have an outstanding director of curriculum, Mrs. Kimberly Hughes, and we pride ourselves in aligning curriculum to the PA core, but most importantly in a way that's relevant, meaningful, real life, and motivating for students, so that they are able to really be immersed in learning that's hands-on and engaging in the classroom as well too. So you can have a good curriculum, but if the instruction's not in place in an effective, hands-on, meaningful, collaborative way for students in the classroom, then you don't see those same results.
Okay. We talk, and I think most people realize today education is so much data-driven, probably in a positive way for the most part. Talk about, Dr. Bob, if you please, how that data drives instruction and also decisions for not only teachers, but really as we develop curriculum and so forth.
Yeah, I think we never want to lose track of the relationships first, regardless of the data. The data doesn't mean anything unless we have some kind of relationship with the students, and likewise staff having a relationship with one another, and administration and parents. But the data in 2016 is used extensively in comparison to what it might have been used in 1996 when I first started my educational career. At that time, in probably what many of us would have experienced going through school, was 25 to 30 students sitting in a classroom receiving instruction predominantly from the teacher in a lecture format. And if the students didn't get it, they didn't get it, or they weren't working hard enough, or they had to take it home and figure it out, at home. And today we're using data that we're assessing the student and using the data to determine who gets it, who doesn't get it, but also to make instructional decisions on how do we engage the student more, or how do we present the information differently, how do we allow the student to use exploration to learn the topic versus direct instruction, and really customize our students' learning based upon their own learning styles. So that's something that many of us would not have experienced historically.
No, I think, and I've heard you guys talk so much about it, is using data, just what Dr. Bob said, to customize almost an individual educational program, not just for special children, but for all children.
Absolutely, absolutely. That data tells us what do our students already know, and what do they not know, so we're focusing on those needs, but what they know so that we can continue to challenge them as well too.
Yeah, one of the things I also hear you talk a lot about, and it's the next point, but I'll set you up for it, the 3 C's in instruction. Those 3 C's are listed here, but tell us about them. And Sandy, I know dear to your heart is what happens in the classroom every day. Talk a little bit about the 3 C's and what that means for instruction.
Absolutely, and certainly Bob and I are fortunate because we spend on an average 2 to 3 days a week in classrooms, so we're able to see these practices happening on a regular basis from our outstanding teachers. And when we look at those C's, we look at, as Bob said, in order for students to really become immersed in learning, they need to collaborate together. We don't learn in isolation. They need to certainly communicate that learning with one another. It's just as Bob said, not the teacher imparting their knowledge, but students collaborating and communicating together as well too. And very, very important that we're teaching critical thinking, and that thinking can be applied and transferred to any other setting or any other content area. That is true mastery of learning. If we teach kids to be critical thinkers, they can go out and conquer the world in so many different ways. And as Bob said earlier as well too, we pride ourselves also in that extracurricular and the whole child and the balance. So we need to allow for, and actually I'll put in a 4th C, that creativity as well too. So that we're just not learning based on the way that we all learned, paper, pencil, in a very rote manner.
Yeah, now both these guys could talk about just those 3 C's in instruction, we could do Warrior Chat, and we probably should, like a 3-hour session on just what that means and what that looks like in the classroom, as Dr. Rahman said, for all subject areas. You know, it's not just math or English, it's really for all subject areas. But all the data-driven, all the instruction needs to happen. Just doesn't happen by accident, though, and I know there's also a great deal of effort put into making sure our staff has the development they need in order to be successful every day in the classroom as well, which I believe, I know is one of the keys to success. So Dr. Bob, would you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I think professional development is critical, as you said, for the staff to move along with what we're philosophically talking about today. They really need time to absorb and dialogue and really use the collaboration and communication amongst each other to talk about what that looks like, what that feels like, but also get training. And we actually looking to move into looking forward to customized staff development. So instead of sitting 100 teachers down and giving them the same staff development, some don't need, some have already, others may be a step behind, but looking at ways to be creative in our ability to give teachers what they need when they need it, whether that be through the use of technology, whether that be through small group discussions before school and after school. I think the community at large may not see all of the staff development that goes on. It's easy to look at the calendar and see a couple in-service days, but really that's a drop in the bucket as to what's actually happening and the amount of time that we commit and energy to the staff development of teachers in the buildings.
Yeah, we're talking with Dr. Rahman, Dr. Bryson about what are the components, what are the keys for the sustained success we've had for high student achievement. Technology obviously is part of today's educational program, obviously, and we've been very careful not just to buy technology for the sake of buying it or having it just for the sake of having it, but to make sure it really is integrated into the educational program. Would you share, both of you share a little bit of that as well?
Sure, absolutely. And when we look at technology, it's just as you said, Wayne, it's one tool. It's an added piece that when used effectively and through professional development, our teachers have really embraced how that can enhance student learning. The use of technology, we certainly know, creates an environment that's really 24/7. Students have the ability to be connected to their learning on a regular basis at any point in time. It's at their fingertips really as well too. And I know Bob will certainly share the success that we've had and why with our rollout of our one-to-one initiative at the high school this year.
Yeah, I think the success really lies on, again, going back to staff development, is our staff's awareness of what technology can allow you to do in the classroom. It's now a tool that opens up vast libraries of knowledge. So any given staff member is no longer the knower of all calculus, no longer the knower of all history, no longer. And any student can now Google and find the same information that possibly in the past the only way to get would have been through a textbook and teacher, or they went to the local library. Now it's 24/7 access. So it's really working with our staff and administration to understand that it creates an opportunity for education to change. And it's more about giving students opportunity, allowing them to explore, getting them going in the right direction, and really giving them more choice in their own education. So while we're not going to forget about the importance of reading, and I would argue that reading and reading comprehension is more important now than it's ever been, because our students are going to be walking out of here having to have the ability to find information on their own and be expected to do that. So.
Yeah, one of the things, and I'm sorry for quoting you guys now and then, but I hear you say these, what I believe are so important to the success of our school district. Not one of our bullet points here when we talk about high student achievement, but it does relate to technology in the one-to-one program, but it's much more all-encompassing. It's Dr. Rahman's phrase that rings home with me so often, that is, every child deserves a great education. I may not have your words perfect, but the concept is right.
Absolutely.
The one-to-one program is part of that, but it's much more than that. Can you talk a little bit about your philosophy there?
Well, certainly, as Dr. Bob said, you know, our students deserve nothing but the best when they come through our doors. And for us to be really able to give them choice, multiple choice in terms of course selection, how those courses look, as well as being able to allow them to really explore their own passion as well too. So that choice is important to the students, as well as ensuring that every time they walk into a classroom, the teacher's as prepared as they can possibly be to create the most rigorous and challenging and meaningful learning. We're also so very proud that we've done, expanded so much, especially at the high school level, with opportunity for authentic learning for students, reaching out in terms of partnerships with businesses in the community, or you know, to get real life marketing experiences. We have students that are working with different banks to be able to get some internship experiences. We have students that are out creating their own apps for smartphones. So we're really, that whole you know, ensuring they deserve the best is ensuring that really the sky's the limit in terms of what we can do to enhance their learning opportunities.
Yeah. Again, we could talk a long time about the formula for success, but thank you. You know, that input's wonderful. We thought we'd share some data here in just the next two slides that I think the community will find interesting. Dr. Bob, do you just want to walk through this pie graph?
Sure. I think the pie graph does a real nice job of showing what our students are doing post-graduation. And actually those numbers stay relatively steady, or have over the past 5 to 10 years. I think maybe the area that's changing and changing quickly, and I think community members would have probably a rather easy time understanding why, is the continuing education is moving from a 4-year university to all kinds of different opportunities, whether it's 2 years of a more tech-oriented degree, or community college or junior college, but there's all kinds of opportunities now for students to go into a 2-year versus a 4-year program and earn very good money, and in fact in some cases more than the student coming out with a 4-year degree. And I think it's important for folks to realize that, knowing that 4-year degree is not necessarily what it used to be, again going back to our experience in the 80s and 90s, that in some instances there are other options.
Back a little bit further.
Yeah.
Right.
I think too, with that too, Wayne, is not only what students are doing after they leave us. Just this past week in the paper, York County identified 2 school districts with the highest graduation rate, and we were certainly one of them at 97, 98% with a graduation rate, and that speaks volumes, because it says that our students want to be here and they want to graduate, and they feel value in the learning that they're experiencing each and every day.
Yeah, and probably also providing support as needed.
Well, I was just going to
continue that,
and no one does that better than our teachers and our counselors as well too. They will do anything to ensure that every student walks across our graduation stage.
No, I know this one. You know, it's interesting. I give numerous alumni class tours in the high school throughout the year, but this question is always asked, which I find is interesting because it shows it's on people's mind. You know, what percentage of students are going on to continue their education, that kind of thing. So I think it does show a nice snapshot of the success, and you make a great point as well, as one of the top 2 in York County in graduation rates too, says a lot as well. This next score, again, Dr. Bob, you know, I want people to know testing is not everything, obviously, and we certainly live by that every day, as Dr. Aman emphasized. Relationships, both of you emphasized the importance of you know, students feeling good about their experience and wanting to be motivated to learn and so forth. But certainly there are some benchmarks testing that's out there, and the SATs is really one of those traditional benchmarks. So Dr. Bob, do you want to share what these statistics look like, please?
Yeah, I mean, real quick again, similar to the PSSA or Keystone testing that students participate in, SAT is certainly another option, as well as the ACT test that our high school juniors and seniors participate in voluntarily. And clearly from the results there, they're high performing, and again, have been for a number of years. But I'd say I'm more impressed with 97% graduation rate, only because I think as Dr. Lamont indicated, I think it shows we do care about every single student and we want to see them be successful. I think it's another reason that we haven't cut the arts, we haven't cut music,
Absolutely.
we haven't cut some of the passionate programs that exist that students are into and want to continue with in kind of these difficult budgetary times that we're currently in. So we're finding a way to do that, and that graduation rate I know means a lot to everybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One of the most significant awards or recognitions we've received comes from the College Board Advanced Placement Honor Roll. Dr. Amon, you want to share some of that and the significance of that honor, please?
Absolutely. This is the second year in a row that we've been placed on the honor roll. And we received that recognition, and this is nationwide, including Canada as well, too. But certainly when you look at the AP exams, those are advanced placement exams, courses that we offer that are certainly college-ready, college-aligned courses. And we actually want to give the opportunity for any student to be able to take an AP and advanced placement class and really be able to find areas that they enjoy being challenged in as well too. So we pride ourselves in saying any student that wants to step up to that plate and take on that challenge, we will support them to be successful in that. So with that, certainly much to be proud of and recognized by being on that honor roll. We've had 371 advanced placement exams taken, and within that, 84% of the students taking those exams scored a 3 or higher, and anything a 3, 4, or 5 can actually earn a student college credit. So students can go into college already having credits, which certainly is a cost savings, which we know parents greatly appreciate as well too. And so we're very, very proud of the fact that we continue to increase the number of students taking these very rigorous and challenging classes as well.
I think we take it maybe for granted a little bit, but it's not typical everywhere by any means. Dr. Bob, from a high school principal perspective, what it means, and share that, please.
Yeah, again, like a broken record, this is not just another data point. Again, it's similar to SAT, it's similar to ACT, but this one's a little more powerful because the entire class is oriented around this kind of exit exam, which the SAT and others are not as focused as an AP course would be, and thus the college credit and the ability to earn college credit. But I think it's significant, and it's difficult to have an understanding of this just based upon the statistics that are on the screen, and that is those numbers are very comparable to most of the districts in the county who have an enrollment that's about twice our size. So we're probably putting out about twice the number of AP exams and with the same level of success that our neighboring districts are. We're proud in that. It's not to say, and I want to be clear, it's not that we have kids certainly that take a lot of AP exams, but that 371 exams is more related to a significant increase in the number of students who are wanting to take an AP course. And that acceptance, again, not only neighboring districts, but districts nationwide put criteria on these courses and say you're not able to take the course if you haven't met this prerequisite. And we've done away with that. Our teachers have been very accepting of that. They understand the philosophy. They buy into it. We continue to build positive relationships. It's not just about the AP exam. And I think that's really sold students that, it's a benefit to get a college level course in, regardless of how you do on the AP exam when you move forward into life.
Yeah, no, we were one of just a couple hundred, as Dr. Naman said, throughout the entire United States and Canada. And just to put that in perspective, Pennsylvania has 500 school districts. The last I saw, Illinois was 600 and some. That's just 2 states. So it's incredible. I mean, it really is incredible.
Absolutely.
And my non-educator framework in order to would be that one of the raps I've heard on public education now and then is you stick 30 kids in a classroom and you teach to the average classroom. That's not the case. Here every child has the opportunity to reach their highest level of ability or desired ability as well. That's pretty daggone powerful.
Absolutely.
Wanted to share, and we've talked a lot about this, and actually probably a good time to tell you, if you're interested in the entire annual report, you can pick one up in any of our buildings here in the administration building, but you can also go onto the school district's website at www.sycsd.org, and there's an electronic version of the annual report as well. But highlighted in there is also just the many accomplishments of our students outside the classroom, which we're very proud of as well.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, just so impressed with the musical talent, band, orchestra, theater, our athletics, our arts. Every single week we're just hearing, awards and recognition from our students and the levels in which they're able to achieve in all these areas. So we're very proud.
Yeah, and Dr. Bob talked about that earlier. Those things, those outside the classroom experiences, are still a priority of ours, and I think that does separate us from many. That they're equally important as the educational program.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I think we're very fortunate there. And Dr. Bob, again, from a former high school principal, it happens district-wide, but a focus, again, that education includes creating future community leaders and future citizens. So it's very, very important to us that we're teaching those values as well.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this goes back to the 4 C's that we were referencing earlier: the collaboration, the communication, the creativity. You can even throw in there community service. But, all of those skills that we're in need of moving into, the 22nd century and beyond. These are the type of activities that allow students to really bust out of that industrial model education and really spread their wings, if I might say, and take their passion in a direction that they really are passionate about.
Yeah. It's also very important and a part of the annual report that we hope you take a chance to look at. But our fiscal responsibility is also extremely important to all of us. And our commitment, we know that every dollar our families earn is hard-earned, and our commitment is that every dollar that you send our way, we're going to work really, really hard to make sure that that money is spent as efficiently and effectively so it does help our student achievement. So I know it's important to Dr. Mon, Dr. Bryson, Mrs. Susan Green, our business manager, our school board, and everyone. It's just so important to us, and we thank you and have the highest regard for our community. And you've heard me say it many times, but our community in Southern York County has always been one that's valued education.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate that very much. And again, our commitment is to make sure that every dollar we're spending to the best possible way we can, and to be good stewards of that money that the community provides us. Just a couple bullet points to share with you in terms of the fiscal condition, because I think it is important not only from a short-term but also a long-term stance that the school district is fiscally sound and that we're able to ensure our community that we're able to provide an outstanding educational program. But one is last year's general fund. We were able to generate a surplus of over $500,000 from last year. We'll talk more about the state of the budget crisis in Pennsylvania in just a little bit and what that's meant to us, but nonetheless very significant because, again, we work really hard not to spend every penny, but to spend it efficiently.
Absolutely, and wisely.
Yeah. You'll see our general fund unreserved fund balance slightly exceeds 5% of our budget, and this is a board policy our board has established many, many years ago. And actually, the state has regulated public schools not to have a fund balance that exceeds 8%. So it really is a fine balance in there of how much money should be saved and reserved for emergencies, as well as to be able to give the community confidence that there is a fiscal responsibility that's taking place. You'll see down in the middle the point that that 5% actually is generally considered by many rating systems such as Moody's as a good financial stable environment to be in. In fact, the school district has a AA2 underlying rating, which again reflects just a strong financial position, having adequate reserves, but also, which is really important to all of us, also having a manageable debt burden, which again provides long fiscal health. Our physical plan is outstanding condition. Our school board has always taken a stance to maintain outstanding facilities. You know, I think it's safe to say over the last, probably from 1951 on, our school boards have wanted great facilities. Not Taj Mahals, but good facilities that lead to a great, an outstanding educational program. And then again, our commitment is to maintain them well, to keep them clean, to keep them safe, to make sure they're sanitary and so forth for our students and staff and our community use. And finally, as we talk about some of the things we've tried to do over the years is manage debt to make sure our debt's manageable. And really in about 5 years, our debt portfolio drops off significant, which provides long-term stability. But we've also been able to refinance some of the debt portfolio, taking advantage of some market movements. Just this year, saving over $1 million alone. And then finally, I think, again, it's important to all of us that the overall financial condition of the school district maintains our outstanding educational program. This slide is data, and Dr. Bob and Dr. Lamont both said, one data point doesn't say it all, and nor does this. But this is the millage rates compared to other York County school districts in our intermediate unit. And you'll see Southern York County School District has the lowest millage rate of 17.94. What does that mean? You can take your assessed value of your house times 0.01794, and that'll give you the face value of your real estate tax bill. But again, if you put your home into a school district somewhere in the middle, you'll pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars more in your annual real estate tax. Again, not our desire necessarily to be low. Our desire is to fund an outstanding educational program, but I think more than anything, it reflects the hard work that our staff, we just do every day to make sure we're spending every dollar wisely and putting it in the hands of the education program. I do want to back up one thing here, and you guys can chime in as well. Appreciate your thoughts. It's becoming 2015-16. We did not have a tax increase, and we're proud of that because it is difficult economic times for everyone in our community as well. It's becoming more and more difficult to sustain that. And it really is, for the most part, a revenue issue. We've worked really hard to control expenses and believe we've done a great job at that. I think the real estate tax rate shows that. But from a revenue standpoint, there are a variety of headwinds that we're facing. And probably no surprise to anyone this year, particularly as the state budget, as we're well into the fiscal year, has not been approved. And we're soon to approve a budget for next year without knowing revenue for this year from a state subsidy standpoint. Number one, and there's so many conflicting messages, I think, that also come from a variety of places. But the real truth to the matter is there has not been overall revenue increases for basic education and special education subsidies for years, and it's becoming more and more difficult to provide a quality educational program with the subsidies that we are receiving.
Absolutely.
And certainly open up the feedback there.
No, I think you just clearly articulated, Wayne, that in order for us to be able to live by our philosophy and live by our mission and to be able to offer a variety of courses and levels of courses as well too, and services for all of our students, whether they're special education students, regular education, gifted students, all of that does come with a cost factor, and that cost, we're not seeing those revenues coming in from the state, which make it harder and harder to be able to have the flexibility that we want to be able to have in terms of knowing what we need to offer and want to offer in Southern.
Yeah, and I'll let Bob reflect for a second here also, but no, to me probably the most telltale statistic is that in the 1970s the state contributed 50% of the cost of public education, not only statewide, but here in the Southern York County School District as well. And that shift has gone now to about a 70% local contribution to public education and a 30% contribution from the state. In fact, for us, it's even a hair lower than that. So that shift really has gone to the only primary way that local school districts can raise funds, and that's through the real estate tax, which obviously is very unpopular. I don't like it when I get mine. I'm sure you guys don't like it when you get yours. But that's the shift, has gone from, again, the state funding half of that cost to now well less than half.
And what that has done too, Dr. McCullough, and I'm sure that Dr. Bryson will share as well too, is over the years we have not been able to fill positions when teachers have retired. We have not been able to maintain the same number of positions, whether it's coaching positions, instructional assistant, elective course teachers at that same level that we were able to in the past as well too.
Dr. Bob, any thoughts?
So I think sometimes we've done a real good job of, and our students have been fabulous with high achievement and success after graduation and even while they're here with us. But what you don't see is what's been happening with the staff as far as positions not being filled and more responsibilities being put on everybody that is here. And you know, it's dozens and dozens. It's not one or two, and that does pay a toll over time. And it's in a time where we're expecting customized learning, where you can't just walk into a classroom and deliver information that I can find on an internet. It's got to be tailored to the needs of each individual student, and that's a significant challenge for our staff that I think they're doing well with. But what does the future look like? As we know, the future of educational reform is changing, and the budgetary concerns continue to pile up. So.
Absolutely.
And as Dr. Lamont said, it's reduced staff, it's reduced everything, reduced buses, reduced supplies, reduced coaches. I mean, it's reduced across the board, and I don't want to sound like we're whining. You know, we're committed to, again, make sure we're very efficient, very effective, putting money in the classroom where it's most effective. But I think it also is extremely important for our community to know that it's becoming more and more difficult. And unless something changes and miraculously the state budget's approved and there is some additional funding that comes in the form of basic education subsidy and special education subsidies and so forth, you know, I think it's true. It's just becoming more and more difficult to do that. One of the things, one of the programs that we're very, very proud of, and it's good to get positive again, is a Digital Academy under Dr. Lamont's leadership. Gosh, 4 years ago? I don't know the years. I lose track of the years. 4, 5?
No, 5.
Wow. Okay. Southern York County School District began a digital academy. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, please?
Sure. We saw a trend, as other neighboring school districts had seen as well too. Students choose not to stay within our own buildings and to seek other options outside cyber charter schools, which actually come back as a cost to us as a district. And we really felt that, again, they're our children, they're our students. They live here in our community, and if they saw a need for a different venue of learning and online learning, cyber type learning, to be able to take their coursework at home, and then if they came in for electives or extracurricular, that was allowed as well too. So we created a balance. Yeah. But we were able to actually reduce the number of outside cyber and students choosing outside cyber and charter schools in half. And we now have over 30 plus students in our own digital academy that's run by our teachers, overseeing our students, providing an online curriculum with that same relationship and support that that's being provided within the classrooms as well too.
Dr. Bob, I know you've seen the success of many, many students who have come through the program as well.
Yeah, I think recently, just this past year, we've had a couple kids graduate through the program, so that's been like the first big milestone of a student going into the program and then graduating. But I think we're in a time of options and choices, and this is a choice that families are selecting and interested in. So I think we have an obligation to do everything we can and provide the best opportunity we can for those students.
Okay. When today's Warrior Chat, as we do many, we give each person an opportunity for the last word. And I got to tell you, I'm lucky because I always get the last word. So, Dr. Bob, you're first.
I would like to thank everybody, the community, parents, the students. It's a wonderful district. I've spent my entire 21-year career in Southern. And I know, there's no better place to be, and no better place to commit my time and energy to make it a special experience for all the students that go through.
Dr. Lamont?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with Bob. It is certainly a clear honor to be able to serve our students and our parents and our community members in our roles. We are a very unique district, a very, very special place. We have hardworking staff members, teachers, everyone that really believes in kids. And our philosophy is to be transparent, to build trusting relationships with our entire community. But for the number one reason is that every single child's needs, every single student's needs are met, and to give our students the best educational environment possible, because they don't deserve anything but that.
Yeah. And my final thought is this: as a community and a school district, we're so fortunate for Dr. Naman, Dr. Bryson, also Mrs. Green, our business manager. Guys, I'm telling you, we got three great leaders. We're very, very fortunate, and we've sustained success on many fronts for many years, and we'll continue to do so because of their great leadership. So, for Mr. Mark Rill, our coordinator of marketing and public information, I'm Wayne McCullough saying, see you next time.